Hey there, tech fans. Rick here again with another gadget that I think you're going to really like. It's an outdoor pan-tilt zoom solar-powered security camera from the folks over at K&F Concepts that packs a ton of features into a really small package that's incredibly easy to use. Now, as part of this overview, I always like to start with an unboxing of a product just to show you everything that's included with the kit. And then I'll actually go through the specifications of the camera and the solar panel because it's important to understand how this stacks up against other products in the market. I'll take a closer look at the camera and the solar panel and explain the connections and buttons and indicators you'll need to be aware of. And then finally, I'll come back once again and point out some key things that you can use to compare this to other security cameras in the market. So let's get started with the unboxing. When you first pop open the box, you'll find everything you need to get started with this camera. The camera module itself and a really nice solar panel with a 3-meter cable on it. So it's a nice long cable that you can extend between the solar panel and the camera. You can mount this on the side of your house, point it towards the sun, and all the power you'll need to charge the internal batteries on this camera come from that solar panel. The cool thing is, if you don't have sun for a couple of days, because the camera has an internal solar panel, it'll run on its own until the sun shows up again and starts recharging those batteries. Also included is a mounting kit for the solar panels and a mounting kit for the camera, and I think that's a really nice touch because a lot of times you'll open up the box, you'll go outside to mount the camera, and you'll find out pretty quickly you don't have the hardware you need to actually mount it to a wall. So these kits include not only wood screws, but also the sleeves you would use if you're going to drill this into some type of concrete or stone structure. They also include a really nice charging cable. Now, I thought this was an interesting touch as well because it's powered by the solar panel, but when you first connect it up, you need to charge the camera. So they include a USB-A to a micro USB cable here that you can use with any standard wall charger to initially charge the camera, connect it up to your Wi-Fi network, and then when you place it outside, it's ready to go. Also in the kit, you'll find a full instruction manual that's in a few different languages, so it makes it really easy to understand how to use the product and all the specifications and connection diagrams you'll need to understand, as well as a template you can use for mounting the camera on the wall, because a lot of times when you're trying to mount a camera like this, it's really difficult to mark the holes. So with this, you can peel the back of it off, stick it on your wall, drill the 2 holes you need to mount the camera, and then peel it off your wall and actually mount the camera. So I thought that was a really nice touch as well. All right, as far as the camera goes, it's jam-packed with features. So the camera itself is a 1080p camera, and I know there are higher resolution cameras on the market, but they tend to be very expensive. And honestly, for a security camera, 1080p feed is perfect for keeping track of an area in your yard and detecting motion in that area in case you've got kind of nefarious behavior going on in your backyard. The unit also has night vision, which is nice, and it's not standard night vision. It's got a couple of infrared indicators on the front that will light up an area, but it's also color night vision. So it gives you both sort of a black and white view, which is a little brighter, and it gives you color view to a certain extent about 15 or 20 meters away from the camera. The unit has motion detection on it. Now, most of the outdoor security cameras have motion detection, but this one uses a technique called PIR, which is passive infrared. And what that technology does is actually look for differences in temperature between a warm body and a cold body, and it looks for the edge of that particular object. And when something moves through its field of view and you have motion detection turned on, it'll actually start recording the camera and capture that footage for you so you can review it later on. A lot of cameras talk about having motion detection, but they're not using that passive infrared. And what that means is every time a tree branch sways or a leaf rolls through that motion area, it's going to trigger a motion detect alert, and you're going to get a notice on your phone, and you're going to have to sort of pay attention to that. So having PIR really separates it from the others. I also love the fact that the solar panel is sort of separate from the camera. Now, a lot of these systems have a solar panel that has a proprietary connection on it, or worse, it's actually connected to the camera directly. By having the solar panel separated from the camera, it gives you a lot of flexibility later on in case you want to power this directly. You can use this cable and plug it into an outlet with a USB charger on it, or if the solar panel goes bad, say you're going to keep the camera for 4 or 5 years and this goes bad down the road, you can easily pick up another solar panel with a micro USB connection on it and plug it into the camera. So everything you need to get started is included with the kit, like I said, but I love the flexibility of it. It operates on a 2.4 gigahertz frequency, so you'll connect this up to your Wi-Fi network. The fact that it's got dual antennas means it's going to give you a rock solid signal. Some of the problems with the other cameras on the market are that they have really small antennas or a single antenna or even internal antennas, which makes it difficult to sort of get that signal back to your Wi-Fi network, especially if you put this camera way out in your backyard. So that's pretty much it for the overview. Now, if you stay tuned, next I'll take a closer look at the camera and the solar panel, and then I'll come back and re-emphasize some of the things you should keep in mind if you're comparing this camera to others that are on the market. Now I'll take a closer look at the 2 main components included with the kit. I have the solar panel here and the camera assembly here. And I'll start with the solar panel. This top surface is what you need to expose to the sun for most of the day to capture as much solar energy as possible, which the solar panel will then turn into a DC voltage and current that it sends to the batteries internally on the camera to keep them charged through this included cable. Now the cable is attached to the solar panel here permanently, and the other end of it has a micro USB plug on it, and you'll connect that up to the port on the bottom of the camera to deliver that DC current. Now you'll want to position this away from the camera as needed to capture as much of that sunlight as possible throughout the day. And the cable is a really nice heavy duty 3-meter cable that gives you a lot of flexibility in where you position this. And when you mount the solar panel, you want to make sure that you try and orient it so the sun travels across the face of the solar panel through the day, and that way you capture as much sunlight as possible. Now, when this kit is first opened up, you'll find that the shaft assembly and the mount are not connected. You've got to assemble these, and you'll basically screw the shaft into the back of the solar panel, and then you'll attach it to the base with this knob right here. The key thing is, I would recommend mounting the base to your wall first, using these 3 holes and the included screws, and then attaching everything on top of the base. And this nut right down here is the adjustment nut for the angle of the solar panel. So when you loosen this, you'll notice the solar panel is now free to move around. And again, you want to position this to get as much sunlight as possible. And when you're happy with the angle of that solar panel, you can tighten this up, and that'll actually tighten everything up. So it tightens up this little joint up top here, and it's not going to move. So once you've got it mounted to the wall and the position is correct, it should stay there for quite some time. Now we'll take a look at the camera. Now the camera assembly again is modular as well. It's got an IP66 rating. The batteries internally are 14,400 milliampere hours, which is really a lot of battery energy inside the camera. A lot of their competing products have a smaller battery pack, and the reason that's important is because having a large battery pack like this means the camera can run for a couple of days without being charged from the solar panel. So if you have a couple of cloudy days or rainy days, there's no worry that the camera's not going to work. Now the connection for the solar panel is right at the bottom. It's a micro USB, and you can see that you've got to pop open this little door here, and that's weather resistant, so you're not going to get water inside the camera. Now the camera assembly itself is right here. It's the ball, and it moves left and right, so you can pan left and right with it. You can also tilt up and down, and that's all controlled through the software that you can use on your phone, and it's going to zoom digitally through the camera on the bottom of it. Now right above that is the PIR sensor, and that's that passive infrared that's looking for motion in the field of the view of the camera. And when it sees a difference in temperature move through that field of view, it'll start recording whatever activity is going on in that area. Either side of that are 2 lights that'll come on, and again, through the software you can say, I only want to record stuff, or when I see motion, I want to turn those lights on, and these 2 floodlights will illuminate that area and scare off anybody back there fooling around. You can also turn on a siren that'll stay on for a period of time that you can control through the software, so totally up to you. On the top, you have an indicator light letting you know you're doing recording, and on the bottom, you've got a microphone where you can have that 2-way conversation if needed with somebody out in the backyard. On top, there are 2 antennas, and again, these are positioned. You want to keep them like this as best as possible, straight and parallel to each other. But again, they're flexible so you can move them around as needed. There are 2 mounting holes in the back that actually mount this to your house. And then underneath the camera are a couple of hidden controls. There's a micro SD card slot right there where you can put a micro SD card in and record right to the camera, and you can pull that out and review that footage if you want. You have a power button to the right that turns the camera on. You'll hold that for a couple of seconds. Camera comes to life. And then there's a reset button on the left-hand side in case you have to reset the camera to go through the configuration procedures again at a later date. When you're done using that, make sure you close this little door up, and that ensures that the camera stays weatherproof and you're not going to have any issues down the road. I hope you found that closer look helpful. Now here are a few things to keep in mind when you're comparing this K&F Concept outdoor PTZ camera to others you may be considering. The first thing is it's a PTZ camera, which means it's pan, tilt, and zoom, so you can control exactly what you're looking at. You can pan left and right, you can go up and down, you can tilt, and you can actually zoom in on objects. And that's really handy because if there's motion in your backyard, or you want to kind of look at a different area in your backyard, if you have a fixed camera, you're limited to how much you can see in that field of view. So pan, tilt, zoom is really a type of camera that you'd want to put outside your home to give you the most flexibility. I love the fact that it's got internal batteries and a solar panel with it, because a lot of times outdoor cameras talk about being wireless, but they're only talking about the connection to the Wi-Fi network for the video feed. You still have to mount a camera outside near an outlet or run electric over to that camera location to power the camera. This one is truly wireless because it communicates the video feed over the Wi-Fi network, and it uses the solar panel to actually charge the camera. So you can mount this virtually anywhere you need to in your backyard, not have to worry about, connecting power up and sort of running electricity out there. It's a 2.4 gigahertz reception, which most Wi-Fi networks will handle today. It has motion detection on the front of it, and you can define exactly what that motion zone looks like. And that's important because, again, using PIR motion detection, you're going to get a lot less false alarms. A lot of the other cameras on the market talk about having motion detection, but they're using an older version of it, which pretty much anything moves in that field of view, it's going to trigger an alarm, which means you're wasting space in your cloud or on the SD card internally, and you're getting a lot more false alarms. This unit also has night vision, so it'll give you a really nice view of the backyard, and I'm showing you a view of it here, both in the daytime and in the nighttime. And you can see that that night vision is really nice. It's crystal clear. It also has color night vision, so when it's recording, it'll actually record night vision with color if you decide to do that. The unit has an internal SD card for storage locally. It also has cloud storage available, and initially you get 7 days of free cloud storage with the unit, and if you want to continue using the cloud storage, there's a small fee per month. Pretty much every security camera out there now has some monthly fee for storage up in the cloud. Another cool feature this unit has is a flashlight on the front, which will actually turn on when it detects motion, and it has an alarm in it as well. So if you've got an area of your yard you want to protect, maybe a backyard shed that's way off in the distance, you can mount this outside the shed. When it detects motion, you can either have it turn the spotlight on, which illuminates the area, which will scare off anybody that's there. And if you're really concerned, you can turn on the light and actually turn on an alarm, which makes a really loud noise, and it'll scare somebody out of that location. The unit also has two-way audio. So if you, let's say somebody's intruding in your backyard and they're near the shed, it can detect that motion, it'll turn on the lights, it'll turn on the alarm, and if they're still not leaving, you can actually have a conversation with them to say, hey, get out of my backyard, you're near my shed, you shouldn't be there. So I like that aspect of it as well. The dual antennas are nice. Again, I pointed that out earlier. A lot of these come with an internal antenna, which is really not that great for reception and limits how far away from your router the product can be located. This has dual antennas, which gives you rock solid connection, even very far away from your house. So this works great. I've had it way out in my backyard, monitoring a patio area if we have out there. I've had no problems whatsoever with the reception. The unit also works with an application. You can download that. The application's free. It'll give you notifications of movement in the area, alerts, that type of thing. It'll also let you view the camera, control the pan, tilt, and zoom through that application, and also review any footage that was recorded, which I think is great. So overall, the product is really pretty complete. Again, there aren't many features. Actually, I can't think of a single feature this product doesn't have, except maybe higher resolution, but I mentioned that in the overview. 1080p is fine for me with home security cameras. I think 2K and 4K is better, but it tends to be a much more expensive camera. So when you consider all the features this product has built in, and then weigh that against the price, I think it's a phenomenal value. And that's pretty much all I had for you today. So hopefully you found this review helpful. And until next time, stay nerdy.